Making the Invisible Visible, Black Women 365 Days of the Year. Each day will spotlight a remarkable woman whose story has shaped Black, British or global diasporic history. Women whose achievements are too often overlooked. Through these daily short films, we create a living, breathing archive of leadership, creativity, resistance and legacy. Let's begin.
My name's Jacqui Sealy, and before I retired, I worked in mental health. I worked in libraries in early years and also worked in social care. So that was my kind of work background. Didn't always match what my interests were. So since then, I've been able to get involved in local history and heritage, art, dance, and sort of trying to do a little bit of writing, a bit of NHS sort of public health issues. I've got lots and lots of interests, and sometimes it's hard to kind of choose, but I enjoy the fact I've got lots of interests. I'm never bored. In terms of a person, I would look to my family, particularly my mum. She was a psychiatric nurse and part of the Windrush generation. And she was a very kind person, very intelligent, very hardworking. And she was always sort of, she wasn't someone that like went around making loads of noise, but she just got on with stuff, very determined. And she also had the brilliant sense of humour. So every now and again, I'd say something, I think, oh, and then she'd just be laughing because I think, oh, I shouldn't have said that. And she'd just be laughing and laughing. One time she heard about me. I'd been to a Christmas party and, had a few drinks and I challenged someone to a cartwheel competition. And, literally 2 weeks later, she found out about it. And so she looked at me and she went, Jacqui, yes, Mom. She said, I didn't know you could cartwheel. It's a fond memory. It's a very fond memory. But it was just the way she said it, totally straight face and then cheeky grin. So yeah, so that's so she's been a great influence. Okay, well, it's kind of two things. One is that I absolutely love ballet, and the second thing is I absolutely love astronomy. So so when we had Claudia Pereira, when she spoke at last year's Serendipity, one of the dance dialogues, that was amazing. I thought, wow, total hero. So I think in terms of those things, I think that I found both things. They can be places where you don't see many other Black people of colour. And sometimes it's been challenging on a personal level, but I do feel that, it's important to follow your passions and your interests. And I think that your presence can make a difference to people around you. And also other people might see you and think, oh, I'll have a go at that. But also I think that it can have a positive shift on the activity itself. So I know that when I was a child, I went to a dance school and there weren't any Black teachers or students, and I didn't see any of the dancers that I now know were around at the time. So after that, and as I got older, it's been wonderful seeing examples of Black dancers like Julie Felix, and also seeing people like Precious Adams in English National Ballet, and it's wonderful. And so I sort of go to a dance class as an amateur, but I've been that's really inspired me so much, and I wish I knew about them when I was a child, because I actually gave up ballet because of not seeing anybody and thinking I'd never be able to achieve it. Astronomy, I think that came in when I was working in mental health. It was quite challenging, and so I wanted something that was completely different from my daily work. And I like the idea of trying to get my head around the wild and wonderful world of astronomy, where I thought you can't really get much further than that from what I was doing on a daily basis. So I loved it. I loved the challenge. There's lots of things I did not understand, but I really enjoy trying to understand it. And more recently, I go to an astronomy meeting I go as often as I can. And great things that came out of that recently was last year during Black History Month. The one of the leaders of the society, she was talking about she talked about a black astronomer from the 18th century. I'd never heard of this man, and I thought, oh my goodness, and that was wonderful. I thought that is amazing, and that made me think actually it'd be nice to do a bit of research about but any of the black astronomers. I'm sure there's black astronomers around, or they were. I mean, generally, obviously, there are astronomers all over the world, but their contributions aren't always recognised within sort of European history of astronomy. There were many in Arabic countries and Africa and all over the world, South Asian countries, who made discoveries and theories, but they're not very. It's not always easy to find out about them. So yeah, so I've enjoyed that. I've really enjoyed very much what I'm learning through astronomy, and also finding out about black figures in astronomy. So that's been great. Well, this was a tough one. I think that it's good to kind of acknowledge your small wins, because I think it's too easy. We can be a bit dismissive when actually it is still a win, and and it can still act as a source of motivation to carry on with what you're doing. So I think I try to acknowledge the small wins, maybe even sort of record them in a little way. I've got a bit of a habit of writing stuff down and then not knowing where I've put it, but I think is trying to find some fun or joy in whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is. And I think the other thing that I find always helps my momentum is a big piece of cake and a coffee, especially cinnamon buns or carrot cake. But there's very few cakes I'll say no to.
Thank you for joining us for today's story. Making the invisible visible is our commitment to ensuring that Black women's histories and contributions are recognised, valued and kept in daily circulation. Across 2026, we will continue to share these powerful narratives, 365 days of impact, brilliance and inspiration. Stay connected, join the conversation and help us champion the women whose journeys continue to shape our world. I'm Paulette Brooks, and I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow for the next story.